we're going to be talking real quick about Akashic readings. I got to tell you, I had another Akashic reading today that again blew my mind. The more I do these Akashic readings, the more I'm realizing some of the things we've been taught via the New Age. This is being very specific here, New Age community. And New Age was invented about 200 years ago, thereabouts. Could be off by 50 years, okay? But it was invented by the New Age community. Aleister Crowley was one of them. Blavatsky was another one of them. There's a few of them in that group. Right away, were part of that movement. There were good people and bad people. There were good apples and bad apples in that movement. But what I'm realizing is, and this is going to be a quick live. It's actually more for a recording as I'm thinking out loud. What I realize is that these Akashic downloads would have not been possible 10, 15 years ago. It's extraordinary how much the collective is waking up. It's like beyond, I can't even like express it in proper words, because what we're being exposed to is extraordinary. When Michael Newton, the author of Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls, he has a clinic. It's a school, actually. It's called the Newton Institute. It's where I learned how to be a hypnotherapist. And when he opened his clinic, right, before he opened he was an atheist. One of his best friends, his Doc Holliday, was a cardinal from the Catholic Church, and they had other things in common. He was a small town boy in Northern California, Grass Valley to be specific, and he was amazing because he wanted to help people, but he honestly didn't believe in God and the essence of our creation. And it was through hypnotherapy, just, helping people. Why are you overweight? Why are you smoking? Why are you an alcoholic? Shit like that, right? What happened to you when you were 6? Shit like that, right? Is when he actually he stumbled onto incredible things. And one of the things that I remember my hypnotherapist said was that 30% of his clients going under remembered past lives as starseeds, meaning sentient beings on another planet. I'm going to tell you something. I'm not special. You guys are. Because since I've been doing hypnotherapy in the Akashic, 80% of my clients, specifically in hypnotherapy, are remembering, past lives on another planet as sentient beings, different species, humanoid, and so forth. It is absolutely incredible to me how far we've come in just 10 years. Just 10. And what I want you to know is this is why this saying, the more you know, the less you know, is exciting, actually. It's fucking exciting. So I just did this incredible Akashic reading, and it's probably going to be a 15-minute live. And I have to share some of it, okay? Because here's the thing about hypnotherapy and Akashic. You can't think. Now, if you guys are writers, like I'm an author, if you're an author, you're a writer, and you're sitting at the desk, and say you took writing classes or whatever the hell, or you have a project, you'll be sitting there looking at the screen. Which I don't do because I've learned long ago that's not going to work. But most people, to come up with something, have to sit and think and pull shit out of their ass. This is why these downloads are extraordinary. How do I prevent these downloads on a hypnotherapy session or an Akashic reading to be corrupted? By opening the 4 corners above and below. I treat these sessions like I'm about to take ayahuasca or psilocybin. I kid you not. I make sure the space is protected, and then I go in. With my clients who are doing hypnotherapy, I will send them the 4 corners above and below. As a matter of fact, I have to send this to a client. And no one's allowed to come in until we're done. Period. No knocking on the door, no animals, no bullshit. Just all pure focus. And that's actually guarantees non-corrupted downloads. And why am I saying that? Well, because we're calling in for powerful protections. This is what the shamans, druids, the high priests and priestesses have done, is opening sacred space. This is why saging with various types of tools, sage, which I don't know why people are freaking out trying to, please don't use incense. Okay, it won't do shit except make your room smell good. But use sage, use Palo Santo, use copal. Copal is probably the most powerful of the 3. If I were going to pick 3, copal, okay? However, after that is sage. And then after that is Palo Santo. Personally, me, when I do certain things, I use Palo Santo and sage together, and I dip it into the flame. That's what I do personally to open sacred space. And then I use a mudra, and sometimes to get me into an altered state, I drum and I chant a mantra. Depending on what the mantra is, sometimes it's not even a mantra, it's a primal wailing, if you will, believe it or not. And that's where I put myself into this altered state to start doing the Akashic reading. For hypnotherapy, it's just about induction, this, that, and the other. And that's my job, to get the person to surrender and trust and release. And before we do the hypnotherapy, we have a pre-chat so they understand what I'm doing, what to do, how to relax, how to let go, how not to judge, edit. And as a matter of fact, when I do the induction, one of the things I say in my induction is, you will speak to me and you will say, this is when we're working on the chakras and we're at the throat chakra. I will say, you will actually share with me everything that you see. You will not pause, nor will you edit. You will not think about it. You will just articulate what you see as you see it, as it unfolds before your vision, right? And that's one of the things I do to make sure that they're not going to start hitting the brakes, because I remember when I first started doing this, certain people just keep hitting the brakes. Can you imagine on a freeway just hitting the brakes? Because it's like going on a freeway, because once those portals open, the downloads just keep going. So we do a pre-chat. I also teach them a particular pranayama breathing that I'm going to use during the session, so that if they see something that they don't want to see, I can get them out of it through a breathing exercise that I teach them. Or if we need to move on, is there anything else? Is there anything else you'd like to share? No. Okay, moving on. Go ahead and do the breathing techniques. I teach them. And they do that, and it gets them into an altered state, into another realm, And anyway, so quickly, I want to talk to you about this particular client who I just did in Akashic. Now, I'm going to tell you something. When I did her reading last year on her twin flame journey and her daughters, what was interesting is that she didn't hire me to do an Akashic. It just came out of nowhere. And I saw them as oracles, and oracles of Delphi. Now, many of you know exactly what I'm talking about, and many of you don't. Oracles of Delphi were these sacred high priestesses that for a time they would actually squat, with our yonis. We'd squat over those fumes, and we would be put into an altered state, and we'd start getting downloads. It's very similar, like taking psilocybin or whatever, right? But it was going through their yoni. Isn't that incredible? And so this was done, and these were high, I would say, Vestal virgins. And what was interesting about it is that at some point it took a turn where great statesmen, warriors, kings, conquerors would go, and they started manipulating those oracles. Turn where great statesmen, warriors, kings, conquerors would go, and they started manipulating those oracles of Delphi, making them say what they needed to say. One of the incarnations that we talked about today with this particular client was the truest essence of her. That was wild. And the truest essence of her was from a high dimension that was plasmic. It was very simple, and I always use examples because it helps people visualize shit, because some of this stuff's so out there that how am I going to, figure this out? And so there's a couple scenes with Judi Dench, the actress, in the movie The Chronicles of Riddick, okay, with Vin Diesel. And in it, you see a soul, an entity. You remember her? She's all dressed in white. Well, this client was not in white, but she was what? Plasmic. Remember that? Do you remember? So if you don't remember, go see that scene of James, what's her name? Judi Dench. Her name is Dame, which means like a knight. She got a knighthood for the feminine. Anyway, from the Queen of England. But her name is Dench. Her name is Dame, which means like a knight. She got a knighthood for the feminine. Anyway, from the Queen of England. But her name is Judi Dench. Look up Judi Dench, Vin Diesel in The Chronicles of Riddick, and you'll see it. Now, I've seen those plasmic being in other, I've seen it, okay, before in my own actual, my own meditations. But this was wild because I got to see the very beginnings of her making before she ever took on an incarnation in any type of what you call carbon. And I'm not going to say carbon. This is true for us in this particular realm. But I can't say that that's what we're made of when we go into other planets, when we're being created into other humanoid or non-humanoid, I'm going to say sentient beings. And what's incredible is that her truest essence, meaning her truest beginnings, which would go beyond that, I'm sure, but this was where we started with her, said she will never know how not how powerful, she will never know how much she knows. She will never know how much she knows. She will never know because she's distracted. What is she distracted by? Well, what are you distracted by? What's keeping you from having downloads on a past life and not fucking studying it? I have a client, I told you a while back, who had a famous past life, and she's bought every fucking book they have on this particular person. My only 2 past lives I've ever had that were famous. There was one other but it wasn't famous in the way I speak of fame. It was more like a wealthy man who happens to had been in the news for a short window of time. And that was the weirdest thing. That was a download I got. And that person studied. But this person was really a famous person. I'm trying to find the fucking notes. Hang on for a quick second. Let me just share with you a little bit of that, because every time I share something with you, it's because I want you to understand hang on, let me see what she said. I want to say exactly what she said. Hang on, okay? I don't want to describe her too much because it's personal. It's her essence, and I won't do that, okay? But it was extraordinary to watch. And she actually, when I asked, hang on, okay? Oh, yeah, here it is. She is more than she'll ever know, was what she said. And I said, yes, but at some point she will know her truest self-expression, right? And she put her face, this entity, this download, put her face to mine and went, she must stop relying on the world she sees, quote unquote sees. She relies on her eyes more than her heart, more often than her heart. Sorry, I'm looking at my spelling. More often than her heart. She relies more often on her eyes than her heart. Are you her heart? I asked, right? Because no, I'm her original self before she chose to forget her true essence. Why would she make such a choice? And it continues. That's what I'm saying, is that these Akashic readings are fucking blowing my mind. And it's not because of anything that I'm doing anything special. I think it's because I've been allowed in this incarnation to not grow up in amnesia. I grew up remembering a lot of stuff, and it just got refined with more knowledge, with more books, with more mentoring, with people I met on a plane, on a train, on a boat, whatever, however, about the essence of truth and reality. And my twin was a huge, huge, expansive influence as the sacred masculine. And so now I'm like, I guess maybe because of what I've experienced, I feel, honestly, it's like we magnetize, right? We attract like, right? So frequency matches a frequency match. So I'm attracting incredibly interesting and powerful souls that have been completely and utterly lobotomized by this fucked up 1% infrastructure that's been going on for centuries. All you have to see right now, what's the popular movie today? That's been going on for centuries. All you have to see right now, what's the popular movie today? That's been going on for centuries. All you have to see right now, what's the popular movie today? What is it? It's fucking Gladiator. Study Rome. There's a TV show called Rome, based on Shakespeare's Cleopatra and Antony, and Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. Okay, fucking amazing shows. Irreverent as fuck. Sex up the ass. This is how they were. They didn't give a shit. They were not shy about nudity, shit like that. And it's an incredibly intelligent show, though. It's made by a British team who understood that the lighting in Rome was like no other lighting. It's one of the reasons no other lighting in the world is like the lighting of Rome, like no other lighting in the little town I live in. I've never seen this kind of lighting here. I've never seen the kind of lighting when you cross the bridges from Paris into the East Saint Louis when it's a stormy day. there is a certain kind of light in the sky. And if you're an artist and you're sensitive, you will recognize it. This is why the movie Troy with Brad Pitt, I looked at it and went, wait, hang on, that's not the Mediterranean Sea at all. And I knew it. Don't tell me how, I just knew it. And guess what? It was shot in Mexico. And you could tell. For me personally, it bothered me. I never could get into that movie. You know what I mean? Good idea, good plot, wrong fucking location. What's the point of that? Because when we watch movies like that of the ancient world, or a good Western or whatever, the Western, if it's a Western, it better not be made in France, in the countryside of France, because there's an energy frequency that is not present, that is though present in, say, Nebraska, for example. And so location is about frequency, and it may not be palatable to the average consumer, but to us who are sensitive, it is. I'll give you an example of why I say that. One day there was a calendar on my wall, right? And it showed little mountain scenes, November, December, whatever. One day, the father of my son and I were looking at a particular picture, and it was a valley with these mountains, very small, short mountains. And I went, something happened there. He went, yeah, no shit. What the fuck I feel like we've been here. We both felt a vibration of the land. And then we looked at the little inscription on the bottom. It said Scotland. A battle had been fought there. And we both looked at each other like, oh, fuck, we were there. And you see, so when you get attracted to, say, a land, a country, a continent, whatever, trust me that there's a part of you that is trying to guide you back to perhaps do some final clearing, purging, and healing and recalibration. For example, like... there's the guided meditation I have on YouTube called Soul Retrieval Guided Meditation, right? And these kinds of exercises are extremely powerful. But when you're ready to excavate, why would hypnotherapy I love hypnotherapy, but why would the Akashic be a good primer for a person? Because you fucking can't decide. That's why. Because you could actually decide in a hypnotherapy, yeah, Tony, I don't want to do that. Oh, okay, I'll pull you out, no problem. In an Akashic reading, when I connect to the guardians, okay, guess what? They don't give a shit what I want. They know what they need. And so they will drop, like, think of it as light-coated scrolls down through my crown chakra, and I'll just, like, get those downloads of different incarnations. And some of them they're not pretty. Some of them are hard. And sometimes I have to say to myself, how am I going to deliver this? And I'll say, who do you think lived those lives? Or do you think these are all books and movies? This is how people lived. In fact, people lived those lives so that they could be written about, fictional or not. And we have to keep remembering that in ourselves. So many of you are having downloads of incarnations, maybe a Polaroid shot or a couple... like little footage, right? Like a woman running in the sand. I'll never forget, I had a client who literally, I did a guided meditation for a dozen women. And boom, she went and she was olive skinned woman, long hair, dark hair, running in the sand. And she snapped out of it. I go, why did you do that? She goes, it didn't make sense. I go, you were having a past life download. You didn't want to know what was coming? Why was she running? Was it joyous? Was it sad? Was she frightened? Did you stay long enough to find out? And so you see, that's the issue of the monkey mind. It is always anchored in fear. And so when someone like me does an Akashic reading, what happens is, guess what? Game over. Because I get to write everything they tell me down. I take instructions. Think of me as the scribe. And then I deliver it to the client and go, this is it. Hold your breath. This is going to be tough to hear. And they'll go, yeah, I'm ready. And they don't realize I'm saying it's going to be tough. Please, are you sitting? And sometimes it's hard news. Like the way you fell was the following. And why is this important, whether to know the shadows and the darkness or not? To fucking free yourself from it. That's it. Know thyself, be true. Know thyself, be true. Wasn't that Shakespeare? That's my point. So when you most clients, what they do is they'll do an Akashic reading, to be honest, and then they'll go on to hypnotherapy, because at that point, game over. Like, I can't play games because I already fucking know. Some people fell because they fucked up. Some people fell because and I say people, souls fell because they thought they could come back. Some souls fell because they were betrayed. Like me, my twin, we were betrayed. And that was my first understanding of falling, though I thought it was an isolated thing when I first did it, like 6 years ago. But then I realized, no, it's not. We have fallen in different ways. And to know how we fell was important, because as he was on his deathbed, I was able to not only pray and talk to the guys and say, remove this, remove that, remove this. And one of the things that happened as he shed this avatar, right, is that he shed also with it some scar that had been shackled across his third eye, his root chakra, for at least 13,000 years. That was big. And I won't share anymore. I have to go. I have a client reading. But I wanted to share this quick, only for the recording purpose, not to mention to share this with you, because to me, it's so exciting. But any questions or comments, because you know me, I'm always looking up while I'm talking. No questions? Okay, cool. So I will upload this so you guys can listen to it if you've missed anything. I don't like to give too much, but I will do, maybe if I'm insomnic, you know how that happens. Thank you. I need to book with you. I would be honored. You know what to do, right? You have my website, right? Scorpio Life. Go ahead and just check out my link tree and please do not book unless you've heard my voice. In other words, I will never DM you. I will never say, I love your energy, I think I'll give you a reading. Please don't ever do that. Don't ever do that, okay? There are people who are doing it to all kinds of content creators and offering readings like that. It's bullshit. So one of the reasons why I do these pre-chat calls, just so you know, they're like 5-10 minute calls, not even 10. Is first of all, you hear my voice, and secondly, we want to see where you're at, what you want to accomplish in these sessions. All right. Anyway, sending you much love on your journey. I will talk to you soon. It was fun. I'm really thrilled to learn from you guys as well. You are my teachers, and hopefully I'm one of yours. All right.